No, I'm not doing that. Hi, I have not been posting at all, and I'm very sorry for that. No, I was not gonna pull a Colleen Ballinger on y'all, sorry. But I do have something I want to say. I'm viewing the end of my book process. That includes writing, editing, and publication. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. How are you gonna possibly publish this book? I mean, who is gonna listen to me?
What are you trying to be?
Well, I have a little surprise for y'all. Self-publishing. I would like money. I am poor. I do not have a sustainable job. But the average author sells about 200 books in their lifetime. So that means if I have a royalty of, let's say, $3 per book, I'd be $600 richer by the time I'm old. How do you like them apples? Anyway, who knows? I could be the New York's bestseller, and a lot of things could happen to me. First thing we must discuss. Let me open my MacBook for a moment, and then I can give you the deets. Ugh, stupid caps lock. The first draft that I finished, and I will say this, will be March 4th of this year. I actually remember it. I was in the car, my dad was driving me, and I was like, I'm done. And he's like,
Well, what do you mean?
and I'm like, I'm done writing my novel. And he's like,
Cool.
I went back through and I fixed the format because I hated the format earlier. I ended up deleting a chapter because it was... And, I fixed a lot of stuff. And I had thought that writing in present tense would be a good idea for a first perspective novel. It's not. And, so I came up with another draft, and it was still bad, but I sent it to my editor, and I've gotten those edits back, and I would like to show you all my stuff. This is the first draft that I printed out, double-spaced and everything. See all this? That's all me, guys, and I'll show you the title. Boom. Deception. In total, double-spaced, 608 pages. There's also a lot of other formats. It's about 175,000 words, but while I'm editing, I'm slimming that down, so it'll probably be 160,000, if that, which is still a pretty good, a big novel for a first publication, but still. My title, I've been going back and forth. As for my specific plot, which I will not get into entirely today, I started it calling it Not Alone, and I'll go ahead and tell you all that plot because it was so stupid. It was about this town, and the guy making the town, like building the buildings and whatever, he was so stressed with his past that just like all his emotions went into the buildings, and I mean, oh, it was just haunted everywhere. And everyone was haunted because of it. When you're not alone. Scrap that, and then I sort of focused on a different idea and called it Deception. Now, I really love this title. I really do. I love the idea. It's straight to the point, but it also leaves room for mystery. The problem with this is that when you have a title as specific as that, people are driven away because of its broadness, if that makes sense. Because once you read it and you see the title, it's like, oh my gosh, wow, that's such a great title. But you want people to pick up your book because of the title. Because as much as you would like to say that people don't judge books by their covers, they do. Okay, they do. You're not gonna make money unless people judge that book by a cover, I'm telling y'all. Deception had to go. And so right now, I have literally made a sheet of like names because y'all think it's so easy to write a book with names, book covers, bonding, literally all these factors. It's hard to make those decisions, y'all. And so right now, I'm circulating around the idea of the deception of Patyrus. That's the idea of my book right now. I just wanted to show you, this is my first manuscript that I've written. I will flash a page to show you what it's like. Boop. What was I even flashing?
Oh my gosh.
Y'all, there's some stupid stuff in here, I'm telling y'all. Like, I'm so idiotic. Anyway, moving on. we are going to discuss my editing process. Okay, so I printed multiple copies out, one for just a person to read, like to get their idea of what it's like, their opinion, just like a random person.
2 moments later.
I got my mom to read it, and she's not necessarily the biggest horror fan, so when she was reading it, this was her. I got my edits back, and honestly, I was insulted because I thought I had written like my first chapter really well, and I thought I was doing good and I'm like really explicit and just really umping it up. What is that? Literally red marks everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh. And as soon as I was reading back, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Oh, that really makes sense. I'm like, what does that word mean? And like all this type of stuff. And so really my biggest problem was concision. I would just drag the sentence on forever, and it would just really waste a lot of time and in the long run money, because the word count affects how many pages your book is, and more pages mean more money to cost, and etc, 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 etc. Tense was another problem because I wrote it in present tense when I was writing it. I was writing it in present tense, and then I decided, oh, I'm gonna do past tense, and then I went to past tense. I tried to go back and edit it before I sent it off to my editor, but I forgot a lot of it. So there are just some details that are really irrelevant and stupid that I added, and he just like goes straight to the point. I know it sounds repetitive. You go straight to the point. But Stephen King, I swear, they call him the master of horror for a reason, y'all. And so he wrote a memoir on writing, and he basically talks about every word that you write matters. It has to contribute to the plot or the story in some way in order for it to be valid. If it doesn't, then scrap it. And I mean, he's actually right. Because looking through my book, it would be garbage if I had left all the details in there. Because it's not supposed to have everything that drives away from the story. And that really does make sense. This is part 1 of my novel. And very short. And I think I'm going to actually end up changing that. And here is the behemoth, part 2. It's basically setting up the stage. And when part 3 comes, it's just like, oh my gosh. Y'all, look at this editing. Oh my gosh. Ugh, this stresses me out. I want to come to the timeline. I first started writing my book when COVID hit. And so I wrote about 60 pages, I think, and then I just put it away. That was like the worst stuff ever. And then I picked it back up freshman year of high school. And then I just like started typing away, and I just didn't stop because I would have a homeroom and I always got my homework done. So I'd be like, hey, can you read this for me? And there's this girl lying on the floor with her phone out. I mean, for no reason. It's just like a homeroom, and she's lying on the floor like that. And I'm like, can you read this for me? And she'd be like, sure. And so she read it for me, and I'm like, do you like it? And you're like, yeah, it's good. And it was supposed to be scary. And so I don't know if she's just accustomed to scary, but like some of the stories she talked about were really weird. So I don't blame her. Anyway, I just kept typing, and then boom, done one day. And I was like, oh my dang, I finished it. And so I had used to be like, I'm gonna be a big author someday. I'm gonna be rich and famous, and I'm gonna go star in movies, and I'm gonna be super amazing. And y'all, it would still be nice if some of those things came true, but I'm just gonna look at things realistically here. And I want to get my book self-published, and published would be great, regularly published, but self-published, if that. I have a deadline, and that deadline is, I believe, August of next year. And the reason why this is important for me, and I'm going ahead and telling y'all this, I need to mention writing and publishing a book in my college essays. That way they can see how I stand out from other people. And I feel like it would just be a great element to add to my college essay and show them that I am different from everybody else in this regard. and that, you know, I'm just a spontaneous person who does not quit at all, and I'd be a great fit for their school. And those are my 2 cents for today. I'm sorry that I have abandoned y'all. In fact, let me play a little song. Why you always being so sad? Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Alright, guys. I'm glad I was able to share this with y'all, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.